almost May, which means it's almost my 40th birthday. But probably more important and relevant to you is it's almost Mother's Day. So let's start with some announcements because you're going to blink and Mother's Day is going to be here. And I feel like every year that I've been in business, I always want to do something so important for Mother's Day. And it's like I blink, Mother's Day comes and goes. So this year we're doing things a little bit differently. I have some plans. I started planning this early April. So here's what we're going to do. And you're all invited, whether you're a mother or you support mothers or you come from a mother. My first announcement is I'm facilitating an experience to honor mothers for Mother's Day. It's called Motherhood Decoded. There's going to be an in-person option and a virtual option. So if you're local to me in Tampa, contact me, reach out to me to inquire about a ticket. This is an intimate in-person experience. So it's not just going to be publicly shared where the location is. You have to reach out to me to get the ticket. Friday, May 5th, 10 a.m. If you're not local to Tampa and you still want to participate, we have a virtual option. It's going to be May 11th. And there's a link in the show notes for you to purchase a virtual ticket. Now, what is Motherhood Decoded all about? Effectively, we're going to have a deep conversation about what it means to heal your lineage, to heal your mother wounds, what these look like when they show up in your life, why we want to heal them. And then I'm going to facilitate a guided healing session to help you heal your lineage, heal the line. So again, you don't have to be a mother to participate in this. All of us have mothers, and many of us have some form of mother wounding, even if it doesn't come from our mother, right? Sometimes it's passed down from older generations of the mother line. So this is what we're going to be doing. It's very deep. It's very nourishing. It's very me. And so it's something that I have been doing on myself for intentionally about 4 years now. And I'm finally getting the courage to share this in a bigger way publicly. I've done this with private clients. I've done this in private containers. This is the most public I've ever done this kind of thing. So I'm excited. It's that excited bubbles nervous. And I know what the impact has been for me. And I can't wait to start to share it with you. Okay. Announcement number 2, I'm turning 40 in early May. And if you'd like to gift me something, I'm open to gifts anytime leading up to and for the whole month of May, but not spending money. The gift that I would request from you is if you've ever listened to a single episode on this show and have felt something, inspiration, you felt like you learned something, you felt like you got a nudge or confirmation. If you ever enjoy an episode of mine, would you review the podcast and share it, please? That would be the most beautiful gift to me because this is my baby. This podcast, I was realizing the other day that this is so much more than a podcast. This show, it's like a portal, right? Like every week when I do solo casting and it's just me talking, these are mini micro trainings. These are micro trainings in personal development, in business development, in online business, in motherhood, in spirituality, and all of these are areas that you would associate with me. These are micro trainings. The podcast is the channel through which I'm getting it to you, right? So this is effectively a portal where you come and learn and receive codes and healing, because almost every episode is infused with healing as well. And so you are able to, if your system is open and available to healing, you're able to tune in and receive an energy healing transmission just by listening to the episode. So that's my gift request. Would you review me and share? And the way to share is screenshot it whenever you're listening. Take a screenshot or just go to it right now. You have it open on your phone if you're listening. Maybe if you're watching it on YouTube, you can do that too. But screenshot wherever you listen, share to your Instagram stories if you have Instagram, or to your Facebook, tag me. It makes my friggin' day. And that would be the most beautiful gift for my 40th birthday entering a new decade. All right, another announcement. Third, we'll make it quick. The content course that I've been teaching, you've been hearing me talk about it throughout the month, different micro trainings when it comes to content. I have been training on the podcast, the kinds of things I could be talking about in the content course. Those have been free though. In the course, we're wrapping up as we near the end of April. And If you want to catch replay, there's two different ways you can do that right now. You can join the Evolutionary Business School, which I've told you in the past is a great way to come in and watch all of my classes live, get access to the portal, but then also you get small group coaching. Now, if you are like, that's not necessarily in alignment with me right now, maybe I don't need that small group coaching, maybe I'm more of a self-study individual and I prefer replays, or quite frankly, maybe financially, it would make more sense for you right now to do something that's a little bit lower of an investment. I have opened the portal. I don't even know that I've shared it with you on the podcast because it was such a quick decision. This came to me early April, end of March, early April. I decided to make the portal an all access pass option. So what that means is you can go into and join only the portal, no group coaching, no community as it is in the membership. This is strictly a portal all access pass. It starts at $22 a month, or you can pay for the year and get a month for free effectively. So you're paying 11 months, you get 12, and you can access all of my on-demand business development / personal development courses as often as you want to watch them while you are active with your all access pass. I know it sounds ridiculous. When it came to me, I came out of meditation one morning and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to make this $22 a month. Are you freaking kidding me? So it's starting at $22 a month when you join in April. That is the thing. That is the offer. You can catch the content replay. There's a link in the show notes with all the courses that are included. So if you want to go check it out, feel free to do that. It is loads of material. Yes, if you join in April, $22 a month. If you have any questions, reach out. The content course will be uploaded to the portal after it's complete. So it'll be loaded in the portal sometime in May, but until then, there's still a ton of recent coursework and some of my classics available to you. Okay, final announcement. Given that Mother's Day is approaching, given that I have shifted and rebranded the podcast a bit to expand the kind of things we're talking about, this month we're shifting a little bit to more interviews with various mothers of the world, business owners of the world, women who, even if they aren't in your particular industry, are in some respect like very like-minded with me. So whether they are a business owner, entrepreneur, a mother, or work with mothers, work in the metaphysical world, or do some type of spiritual work or energy healing modalities, I'm really excited to bring you a collection of interviews this month highlighting these various mothers and the work that they're doing with mothers. So that's kind of the shift that you'll see over the next month or so, is more interviews to widen the scope and to really go deeper and honor motherhood. I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, reach out. Oh, final announcement. I guess I do have one more. Final announcement is I have private support options. I do have a spot available for full private mentorship. You'll have to reach out to me so we can talk and see if it's a good fit. I also have a couple spots available for private light mentorship. So if you want something that's a little bit lighter and you don't necessarily need to talk to me every day, that could be a great option for you too. Both of those, we have the opportunity to go very deep and do intensive healing work. There's a lot of energy healing available to you in both of those options. Ongoing support as you integrate and as you move through your life, having done this energy work. With a recent client that I worked with last month, we also did some energy work on her daughter. And so that's something that's available to you when we're working in that private capacity as well. Types of things that we work on when it comes to private mentorship are anything from business mentorship, motherhood mentorship, loving the shit out of yourself mentorship, and learning how to be in this incredible, beautiful, loving relationship with yourself and how to do the work on yourself to change your world, to change your reality, to change how you show up in your marriage, change how you show up as a mother, how you show up in your relationships with your friends or with your clients. So this is very deep work that I prefer to do on a one-on-one basis, and I have space. So again, reach out to me if you'd like to talk about what that looks like. All right, without further ado, let's get into this week's episode. Okay, welcome back. You're about to meet a newish friend of mine. I say newish because we originally met in 2019 when she was starting her business. And then we stayed connected online, but didn't really talk or collaborate on anything for a couple of years now. So it's been probably close to 3 years since we've spoken. She sent me an email out of nowhere a couple of weeks ago wanting to touch base. And I was like, I've just felt called to say yes. Now, we hadn't talked much back in 2019. We just had like an initial consult. She shared with me her mission and her vision for her business, and I love it. So fast forward, we got to talking a couple of weeks ago. Getting on Zoom with her was like, you know how those people that come into your life, the conversation just flows, things connect, you get along, you have things in common, and you enjoy going deep and having conversations with them. We're not talking about like the weather. This is Kaitlin McGray. So Kaitlin is the founder of Be Her Village. My understanding of what Be Her Village does is that they create registries for pregnant people to have doula services, postpartum doula, birth doulas, lactation consultants, so that mothers can have all of these other things, not just like strollers. So that there's registries where she's connecting birth professionals with mothers who are pregnant, looking for more than like swings, baby swings, and bouncy seats, right? Love the mission, totally here for it. I asked her to come on the podcast. So when we started talking a couple of weeks ago, I actually remember one of the things that we were just talking about Mother's Day. And I was like, I'm so effing tired of brunch being the end all for Mother's Day. Like, it is insufficient. It's not enough. I enjoy eating. I like food. I like looking cute when I go to a restaurant and have food, but like, that's it. That's what we're doing. That's the extent. There's nothing deeper. So kicked off some conversations, and I invited her to come on the podcast. You're going to hear more about her business, how she's operating in motherhood. We talk healing in motherhood, the importance of working on ourselves as we navigate parenting little children, right? We also talk about learning how to love our bodies. We talk about selfish and what it means to be selfish and what it means to start prioritizing yourself. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. I did. We go pretty deep. You know me. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. And a couple of quick announcements before you get in and start listening. Since I'm so effing tired of Mother's Day brunch being the end all for Mother's Day, I was craving something deeper. I've been wanting something deeper for Mother's Day. I love brunch. I love to eat, and I wanted something more. So I went to Google and I went to Facebook events and I started searching in my area, Mother's Day events, 2023. I go to Facebook and I search events, Mother's Day. Everything is brunch. It's like top 20 places to brunch in Tampa for Mother's Day. And I'm like, I'm just tired of that, right? So what I desire doesn't yet exist in my area, or at least not that I've seen with a couple of quick searches of the interwebs. So I'm creating it. If you're in the Tampa Bay area, it's not going to be on Mother's Day because people do and they have plans. So there's an in-person event I'm hosting. It's a Motherhood Decoded mini retreat on Friday, May 5th. There's a link in the show notes. You can find out more. As of right now, it's an in-person event. There's going to be a healing facilitation session that I'm guiding on healing the line. And without further ado, let's jump into the episode. I think some of the most important work that I'm doing on myself in this lifetime is like learning to just love my body and love myself and love who I am, and let me just be whatever my soul wants to be. And whatever that size is, whatever the number is on the little tag inside the jeans, I honestly don't give a shit. And I'm pretty sure at some point when I'm on my deathbed, I'm not going to look back and be like, you know what? I really wish I would have been a size 7. I really wish I would have.
Yeah, I'm also trying to decouple that idea of like my value and my weight, which I struggle with. Like, I'm the heaviest I've ever been in my life. I'm like as heavy as I was when I was 9 months pregnant. And I don't know, I just like don't care. And I'm like, some days I'm like, should I care more? I don't know. I don't know if I should, but like the times I do care, I care because I want to feel good, because I don't want my knees to hurt, because I want to have enough energy to go run around with my children, because I want to see their kids grow up. Like the reasons have shifted that I care about my body or what I'm eating, which I think is a huge victory. I also have this little sweet baby girl that's watching me. You know, I'm so glad we're talking about this. I had this conversation with her today that was really interesting. She was having a little anxiety. She like hasn't slept enough, which spikes her anxiety, I think most of us. And she's like anxious about going to gym. She's having like a running test. And she was in my arms and I said, oh, I have to go help your brother. And she was like burrowed into me and she was like, no, you're going to die. And I said, hey, Annabelle, that's not your gut. That's not your intuition. I said, if you're feeling that feeling, I'm going to die, and it's sitting in your chest, that's your anxiety. And, you know, when you feel things deep down, I touched her belly. I said, when you feel things deep down here, that's when you know it's the truth. And then it was like this beautiful, I don't know where it came from. I swear this was not what I was expecting pre-coffee. And then I said to her, and that's why we have to really love our bellies, no matter what, because our bellies always tell us the truth. And I was like, oh my God, this is gold. This is gold. Like, to be able to teach a little girl, I wish somebody had taught me to love my belly, and that my belly is where my truth is. And like, maybe my belly is huge right now because I'm full of truth. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just fun to like be able to like flip the script in my own brain and help her do it too. So I love it. And I feel like this is why we connect so well, Nicole, because we're both on this journey of like, what's real, what's not, how do we actually want to exist on this planet? And it's not necessarily like being raised in this like 1990s, like waif. Do you remember the imagery that we were shown as kids? Like these waif thin, like the thinner, the less they were like skeletons, these models in the magazines. This like beauty ideal of America in 1992 or whatever was just, if you were waif-like and didn't exist, that was better as a little girl. And I kind of love that chub and fat and big girls are making a comeback a little bit here.
You know what? Like, for how old's Annabelle?
She's 7. She just turned 7 last week.
Okay. So our girls are close in age. So I have a 9-year-old boy, 6-year-old girl, and a 4-year-old girl. And really it was when my 6-year-old girl, when she started like paying attention to things and seeing me do things, I had a lot of toxic habits. I'll be honest, like just transparency. Like I still had a lot of those 1990s ingrained habits that are really hard to break up with, you know? And it's like, I tell myself, like, I actually don't believe that anymore, or I actually don't think that's true. But then like living it every moment of every day, you have to catch yourself all the time. Like, wait, I'm not there anymore. Wait, I'm here. I'm now. You know, and you have to like yourself through these moments. And I realized like she was maybe 1 when she was, you know, about the age of 1 when they start walking. And I used to get on the scale every morning. And like I had this toxic habit that I learned from somebody who I actually really love and have a lot of compassion for, just a friend and an older friend of mine. And she used to tell me, like, you have to weigh yourself every day. And if the scale is up, you just don't eat that much.
Oh my God.
And I was like, and this is how effed up in my head I was back then. I was like, that's brilliant.
I'm sorry, Nicole. That's like hilarious. That is amazing. Thank you for that advice.
So smart. I'm like, way to get on top of it.
Yeah.
You know, I also had a neighbor who, when I was pregnant, walking around the neighborhood with my first, she's like, never gain more than 19 pounds this pregnancy because you'll never get it off. And I'm like, too late. But, you know, so I thought it was brilliant. And I'm like, and I was doing it. I was weighing myself every day. And I'm like, okay, and it would dictate, like the number on the scale would dictate how I felt that day. And it was like such a mind screw. And when she started walking, when my 6-year-old started walking, and one day, God, it's going to make me emotional. One day I got off the scale and she just like in the bathroom, you know, she walked over and climbed on the scale. And I was like, I just felt this major mama bear instinct. And I'm like, that's it. Trash the freaking scale. It's over. I cannot do that in front of her because she's going to inherit everything I'm doing. And so I yanked the scale. I threw it away and I haven't been on a scale since. Like, I have no idea what I weigh. This was 5 years. The only time I was on scales was when I was pregnant with her sister, but I never looked at the number. And I told all the nurses and the people at the OBGYN midwives group, I'm like, I don't need to know the number. Don't tell me unless it's alarming and there's actually something.
Unless it's medically indicated to tell me that number.
Right. Yes. Unless there's like a massive amount of increase in a short amount of time and that's cause for concern, I don't need to know. And now one day I did accidentally see it and I was like, oh shit. But like, honestly, I haven't been on a scale, and it's been a series of these things that I've been stripping out of my life, and those things and I'm like, does it really matter? Does it really matter how much gravitational pull I have? Like at the end of my day, is that what my kids would be like, good job, mom. Good job for staying under whatever stupid number you decided was important.
Right.
Like,
well, the other thing, like the thing I'm hearing too, and it really does bleed into birth and all the existence that we have, is this external factor instead of listening to ourselves and our intuition, like listening to the number on this random ass scale and letting that determine how you nourish yourself. That's basically that number on the scale became your guide for the day, rather than your hunger, your energy levels, your cravings, the things you had available, like your own body's needs. You just completely completely shut it. And I'm not saying you, but like, that's what we all do. And that is really like sort of the crux of what I'm trying to teach my little girl and myself at the exact same time, which is, to me, the biggest challenge of parenting is like that you're learning this stuff as you're teaching it. And it's all really, really hard and beautiful, but it's messy. And yeah, like this idea that I should be my guide. I should be the person and the thing that I listen to. My belly, my gut is my guide. And that those external voices that come from all over, it comes from the media, it comes from doctors and systems, it comes from the scale, it comes from mothers and mothers-in-law. And like, there's so many places. And when we can sort of like tune into ourselves, it all just feels so much better. It's unbelievable how good it feels and how like anxiety reducing it is to just sort of do what's right for you in any given moment. It's completely freeing because you just kind of can't go wrong. And it's so simple to say, but like, when has your gut ever steered you wrong? Ever. But it's so hard sometimes to listen to your gut when it goes against those things that our brains hear, like weigh yourself and then don't eat.
We're not taught. I don't feel like I was ever really taught how to listen to my own intuition and how to listen to my instincts. And it wasn't until motherhood that it became like, oh, mother's intuition is acceptable. Like people collectively are like, yes, motherhood intuition is a thing. But also like just normal life is your intuition is a thing. Like for non-mothers, intuition is a thing. Like intuition is always a thing. We're not really taught.
I love this. I would even say like to just like challenge that even, or to like extend that thought that mother's intuition, part of the struggle of motherhood is that we go, oh, intuition will take over. And like, meanwhile, we have not exercised it, been taught it, been connected to it. We've actually been stripped of it and disconnected from our intuition our entire lives. And then as soon as we have a baby, they go, you're fine. You need nothing because your intuition will kick in. And some of us are like, I mean, my intuition is telling me to be very anxious right now. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? It's this like disconnect. We do have intuition, we have strong intuition, but it is something we need to sort of nurture. It doesn't just turn on necessarily, or maybe it does, but if it hasn't been supported, it can like look really dysfunctional. It can look like high anxiety. It can look like us on high alert. It can look like us never having trusted ourselves ever, and then feeling really lost and flailing. Like, now I have this baby, there's something happening in my gut, but my intellectual brain is the thing I've always used, right? I've always like looked at other resources. And then you go on Dr. Google, right? Like you look up, like, is this normal? How many of us have like at 4 a.m. Googled a thing about our baby? That's a scary place to be. It really is.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, it's like, I love that we're doing it differently though, Nicole, that like really, it just, that's kind of the work. Like our little girls, imagine what it will be like for our girls and our boys to be taught that you can trust yourself. You can say no when you want to, you can say yes when you want to, and you can really, you have what you need inside of you. And like, you don't have to look, even to me as your parent, you don't have to look to me to make these individual choices for you. Of course, there's a balance there. I taught my kids about like bodily autonomy when they were like 3, and then they're like, I don't have to, it's my body. I'm like, all right, maybe we should have waited on that one. But, you know.
Yeah, I do get that. Like, I feel like the common denominator here that applies in when you're pregnant, in early motherhood, in business, in relationships with yourself, with your friends, with your partner, with like the common denominator, what I'm tying, the underlying thread that pulls it all together is working on yourself, you know, your own healing of your stuff. Because like you were saying, you know, I'm teaching my kid, but I'm also learning through the whole thing. And it's like, I can tell my daughters or my son anything in the world, but I honestly, if I'm not being what I'm telling them, they're not going to hear me, right? Like I can say anything I want, but they're going to do as I do. They're going to be as I be. And so I better be what I want them to learn. And that's been the motivating factor for me. And I now, after having walked this path for several years, looking back, I'm like, but why wasn't I enough of a reason to want to do this? Like that's
bingo,
right? Like as a mother, you know, my kids have been for a long time, like the reason I put down the scale, the reason that I decided to like reframe and completely overhaul the way I think about my body and my appearance and like the lines and wrinkles and what my boobs look like and like taking out implant, like, but why was it not enough for me to want stuff? Like, I mean, it's great that they were one of the catalysts, but now I've reached a point where I'm like, yeah, I want it for them, but like, I want it for me.
Yes. And like, absolutely yes to all of that. Like, why is it like part of that is continuing that like mother is the martyr syndrome? Like I do all for my children, and I'm right there with you. I'm not where I want to be with that, to be honest with you. I actually have like realized that about myself. And so now I'm just engaging my children to help me do the things I want to do. Like I want to move more. So I asked my son if he would wake up with me in the morning and go for a walk, because in my brain, I know he needs it. So I'll get up and do it with him, but like, I won't do it just for me right now. And it's like a thing I know, recognize, and still can't change. And it's really strange. And it's not necessarily strange. I think it's a universal thing that we have. Like we haven't talked about Be Her Village yet, but like part of Be Her Village is we're getting gifts for the moms, the support that they need. And part of the hurdle that we have in growing Be Her Village is that moms don't necessarily prioritize themselves, even when there's science behind it, even when it's a clear benefit. There's this like emotional hurdle of, well, why would I get something for me when my baby needs it? And like literally the messaging has to be, well, what does your baby need? Your baby needs you to be okay. Like that's what helps people opt for support. That's what helps people line that up for themselves. And it's a really interesting journey being a parent. And like you sort of hit the nail on the head. I feel like one of the things, the highest like growth and challenging areas of parenthood is that they look like cute babies, but what they really are these little mirrors. And all they do is reflect back to you what you're doing in a way that no other relationship does. It really shocked me. And like what ended up happening for me is my 30s were like an incredible, especially in the pandemic, an incredible growth phase of like examining my patterns, trying to heal, trying to be better. And what I started realizing, which is really uncomfortable and it's sort of like vulnerable to share, but what I started realizing was that like, as I started healing and as I started breaking down my own patterns, my kids were a little older. They started already like reflecting back some things that had been ingrained in them. And it's really uncomfortable to sort of see that like, I've already put a little anger in them. I've already put a little sharpness in them. You know, that unhealed part of me has already, I'm getting a little choked up about it, but like, it's not the wake ups at night that's hard. Like that's actually the thing that's hard. It's the healing, and it's the healing while raising